Oh, we have to turn left? Oh, God.
I know. It's inching out. This is actually really scary. Oh my gosh, it's inching slowly. No, it's gonna go after this car.
It's not. It better not, because... Oh my God. Oh my God. Holy shit.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Oh my
Oh my god, sorry!
Did you-
Oh my god!
Did you get that on video?
Yes!
Oh, roll your window down.
Oh my god!
Roll
Oh
your
my
window
god!
down.
The person's like praying for us.
Oh my god!
The person's like praying for
Oh
us.
my god!
Oh my god!
Oh my God.
Oh my
Did you get that on video?
Yes, I did! Oh my god!
Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patron, Max K. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. More like way.
No!
And this video was just posted by a woman in Austin of a WayMo, thankfully with no passengers in the vehicle, but dangerously close to some train tracks. And you'll see most of this WayMo vehicle is actually beyond the crossing gate or the crossing arm, leaving the front of the WayMo vehicle perhaps inches away from the train tracks. So again, as a reminder, just because I have not been covering every WayMo instance like this does not mean they have not been happening. And over the weekend, for the first time ever, we have Alphabet tying a portion of Sundar Pichai's pay to WayMo. Alphabet's board approved a 130 million WayMo BPU grant, or Bet Performance Units, that vests based on growth in WayMo's per unit valuation over 3 years and can pay out at up to 200% of the target, pushing its potential value to $260 million. Now, despite all of these WayMo incidents we see online that don't get a lot of media coverage, WayMo is indeed scaling. They're in 10 or so cities now, with plans to get to 20 here over the next few months in the back half of this year. And this is just my speculation, but I actually think this move from Alphabet shows some confidence that WayMo can actually scale, as this takes it from an other bets category into what is now a very key strategic priority, and so much so that the CEO's pay is actually tied to that performance. And as we know, unfortunately for Tesla, they are not going to get this white kitty glove treatment that WayMo is getting when it comes to media coverage. And so when reporting like this comes out about WayMo saying in San Francisco, clearing a stalled robotaxi can take up to an hour, and the process often requires transit dispatchers to contact WayMo's call center or wait for remote operators to intervene. In some cases, police officers or WayMo staff have to physically move the vehicle. And this reporting is from today. In one complaint logged by a transit operator, a robotaxi blocked traffic in both directions. The operator wrote WayMo contacted and was zero help. And another report described dispatchers trying to reach the company but repeatedly getting routed through a call center that could not resolve the problem. But at least internally, it is starting to seem like Alphabet and WayMo are starting to develop some confidence when it comes to scale. And potentially sometime over the next year or so, they may be able to get close to driving profitability. Speaking of robotaxi pricing, over the weekend there was plenty of chatter about Tesla apparently raising the cost of the base fee for robotaxis from $1 up to $3. Later, it was adjusted to be at $3.25 as the new base rate, but the $1 per mile stayed the same. And if this is accurate, that would be the first price increase in over 6 months. Before I even say anything, I need to make this abundantly clear. Tesla's robotaxi pricing is algorithm based, meaning when we have these conversations about a base fee and a cost per mile, there is something in the background that Tesla is using here, but ultimately the best we can do is reverse engineer those as estimates. So I just want to make it clear, nowhere officially or publicly has Tesla come out and said, all right guys, here's our $3.25 base fee, and it is exactly $1 per mile on top of that. All we actually have is community-sourced unofficial data that we are then taking to reverse engineer what we think Tesla's algorithm actually is. And before you go extrapolating this new data over years and years and tens of thousands of vehicles, I'll just tell you right now, the algorithm is going to continuously change. So for me personally, if I was out there modeling something, I would only take these rates and extrapolate it out to maybe an order of magnitude, possibly 2 from where we are today. Let's call it 40 vehicles active in the Austin fleet. So maybe I would run this pricing out to 400 or 4,000 units of Tesla scaling. Reason being, once Tesla reaches those new levels of scale, a lot of the COGS dynamics and the pricing dynamics are going to change. The supply and demand will be different, and Tesla will continue to adjust. And as we've been saying for weeks, the demand is too high for Robotaxi in Austin. Sometimes people can't get a ride at all. The wait times are longer than the competition. So rather than reading too far into this one, it might just be as simple as Tesla trying to adjust that supply and demand balance. If Tesla raises the pricing a bit, especially for shorter rides that are going to have that $3.25 built in no matter how short the ride is, you would expect that to free up some vehicle availability. Another potential factor at play here is Tesla is using this as transition pricing. What I mean by that is we know the Cybercab is coming, whether next month or in the next few months, meaning Tesla is likely establishing a pricing baseline that the Cybercab will be launched into. As we've seen with Tesla over the years, that first year of a new production line, the costs are high, the economies of scale are low. So there is a world where as Tesla ramps up the Cybercab and incurs a lot of that cost for the new production line, they'll want to offset that with a bit higher revenue. But again, I don't want to overcomplicate this. Tesla has not yet been able to increase the supply, so given where demand is at, this might be as simple as Tesla pulling a lever to bring down the demand. But most importantly, short term, just have a look at this infographic comparing Tesla to both UberX and WayMo. I have the latter two combined because in Austin, WayMo rides are booked through the Uber app only, and they are priced identically to the Uber tier that you pick. So at least for now and in Austin, there's no separate WayMo pricing. So for a 2-mile ride that takes around 5 minutes, a Robotaxi ride would be around $5.25, whereas UberX and WayMo have a minimum fare of $5.95. Then let's just assume an 18% tip takes the total for the latter to $7.02. Meaning, even on a short ride, Tesla's cost would still be 25% cheaper than UberX. So if you want to consider WayMo pricing without the tip, just focus on the middle column, and then the third column would be UberX with that 18% tip. And the Tesla savings is going to be compared to the UberX with a tip. But again, let me be clear, you'll see UberX and WayMo have this $1 base and then $1.06 per mile plus a 20-cent per minute fee. But again, as I said earlier, these companies use dynamic pricing. They have their own algorithm. So all this is a reverse engineering of that data. And specifically, that's coming from Taxi Fare Finder, which is just a third-party app very similar to the Robotaxi tracker. And one other important thing to point out, these prices for UberX and WayMo are base fares. This would not include things like surge pricing. So despite all of these factors, and with Tesla's increased pricing model as best as we can tell, Tesla's pricing in Austin is still most likely the cheapest option. Now, this does not mean that you will never see screenshots of actual pricing in Austin showing Tesla being more expensive than Uber. Because again, all of the pricing is algorithmic and continually adjusts dynamically to many different input factors. And in this screenshot, a Tesla Robotaxi was $28.48, whereas for the same trip, a Comfort Uber ride was $25.99. And I would hope this goes without saying, but for a program still this early, arguably still in a beta phase, Tesla will continue to test the market and the elasticity of demand. I would argue at least this entire year, that's how Tesla is going to be viewing this, as gathering data, learning new markets, uncovering unexpected costs, learning what steady state demand actually is city by city, and figuring out what the market clearing rates are to actually balance Tesla's supply with the demand. Ashley Vance still did not upload that new video of the Tesla Semi factory, but we did get some new photos of the Semi doing some testing up in Alaska. And over the weekend, Tesla opened its first Tesla Semi megacharger in LA. It still has a max speed of 750 kilowatts, open to all Tesla Semi customers, and this is the first megacharger that will be open to the public. Eventually, with Tesla's redesigned semi-connector, that's what will enable that 1200 kilowatt or 1.2 megawatt charging. But until that time, oftentimes Tesla is still using that older MC1 cable, which is likely why the charging speeds are still capped at 750 kilowatts. Dan Priestley said the factory's epic manufacturing teams have high rate of install and commissioning, noticeable changes every day. So based on comments like this, it means good progress is being made, but it also likely means that we won't really see production until the second half of this year. And I'm just going out on a limb here and saying that we won't see any type of volume production until 2027. On the supercharger front, Marco told us that Tesla has a massive site coming in Yermo, California. It'll be 6 phases where Tesla will add over 400 V4 stalls in a commercial development known as Eddy World 2. The first phase, which should begin construction sometime this year, will have 72 V4 stalls. If you didn't know, Eddy World 1, if you will, is a very popular travel stop and gas station complex also in Yermo, California. Some people even call it the Disneyland of gas stations. It has clean bathrooms, multiple different restaurants, homemade ice cream, coffee, a bunch of snacks, and other amenities. And yes, Tesla already has a supercharger site there as well. And the reporting is that this Eddy World 2 is going to have things like Cracker Barrel, McDonald's, convenience stores, more restaurants, drive-thrus, some outdoor dining, pull-through bays for Cybertrucks with trailers, and so on. Now, if you haven't been following along, Tesla has quietly been scaling up the size of these flagship supercharger locations. At one time, Barstow was the biggest site with 120 stalls. Then late last year, we heard about Project Oasis that had 164 stalls and was completely off-grid with 11 megawatts of solar, 39 megawatts of battery storage across 10 megapacks. But a few weeks later, we learned about the Firebaugh supercharger location, which was bringing the total there to 288 V4 superchargers, plus 16 megachargers for the Semi. And what do you know, a few weeks later we hear about another new record globally, this Eddy World 2 that will eventually have 400 plus stalls. Clearly, these are not just incremental additions. This feels like a fundamental shift in Tesla's supercharger build-out. And what did Ashok say on the recent call? One of the problems they ran into with Robotaxi scaling was they foresaw that they were going to hit infrastructure limitations. So I can't help but think that these massive supercharging hubs and sites will function to ensure that future Robotaxi scaling is not limited due to a lack of infrastructure. Now, of course, I would love to see some wireless charging being mentioned or installed at these new sites, but we can expect for the next few months, the Model Y will be the primary Robotaxi, which is going to plug in at a regular supercharger. And in the future, once Cybercab becomes more ubiquitous, I'm guessing these sites will be retrofit with that wireless charging. And if not technically retrofit, then just added adjacent. And look at this data from State of Charge as of March 1st this year. DC fast charging ports in the United States. Tesla superchargers make up 52.1% of the market, sitting right around 36,500 ports. Which means, yes, you can take the next 9 biggest companies and the other category, and their market share combined is still less than Tesla's. And clearly, Tesla is not a sitting target. And just a fun fact, Electrify America is the second biggest with 7.8% of the market. And in third, we have EVgo at 7.2%. And yes, Eddy World 2 is expected to have solar canopies as well. And part of the reason I bring up the Robotaxi scaling is because this site is intended to serve primarily passenger vehicles, meaning at least for now, there's no commercial truck or 16-wheeler charging that's planned. So for the very popular route from LA to Vegas and those surrounding areas, to me, this is very clearly Tesla setting the stage for that robotaxi expansion where there are thousands of robotaxis operating in those areas. There's been some very poor reporting around this. Tomorrow on Tuesday, NHTSA is going to hold a national autonomous vehicle safety forum that will include the CEOs of companies like WayMO, Zoox, and Aurora. NHTSA is reviewing potential actions, including future guidance on the safe domestic development, testing, and deployment of self-driving vehicles, and the day-long session will also review the use of remote assistance in robotaxis and how regulators should assess robotaxi performance versus human-driven vehicles. NHTSA administrator said last week the agency wants to support innovation in self-driving vehicles because of the potential benefits to reducing crashes and extending mobility to some older Americans and people with disabilities. We're taking a measured approach, removing unnecessary, unintended barriers to this tech while maintaining strict safety oversight. And as we've been covering, Congress is right now considering legislation that aims to make it easier to deploy autonomous vehicles without human controls. And the word is that WayMO, Zoox, and Aurora will be having these high-level panel discussions with a NHTSA administrator. But the confusion lies in this event having two separate things going on. Tesla is going to participate in a separate AV showcase on Automation Plaza, which is basically just an outdoor demo area. So Tesla will have some hardware and tech on display, but it's not going to be involved in those structured on-the-record panel sessions. We don't know for sure if Tesla was not invited to the panel or chose not to be there. And on this point, there were a few posts saying that today, March 9th, NHTSA would be releasing a critical safety report when it comes to Tesla. But that's not true at all. What's actually happening today is that Tesla has a deadline to submit some detailed crash-related data. This is from one of those preliminary evaluations that was opened October of last year. And so far, Tesla already got 2 extensions on this information request. So the original deadline was January, but today, as far as we know, is the day for Tesla to hand over that information. So no, NHTSA's not putting out any special report that has huge implications. It's just Tesla giving NHTSA information. Today we got news Tesla and Samsung are making waves again, this thanks to the rumor mill. So if these rumors are true, Tesla wants Samsung to produce many more AI6 wafers than initially anticipated. This could raise the value of a deal that was already crucial to Samsung's plans to develop chips in Texas. And this rumor might bolster the argument that investors are finally receiving the anchor demand for Samsung's long-delayed chip project in Taylor, Texas. And all they're saying for now, if volume under this contract is finalized, the entire value of the deal could well surpass the initial $16.5 billion agreement. So how much bigger could this deal be? We just don't know, but I think it's safe to say that we know Elon wants all the chips he can get. So if Tesla is starting to develop some confidence in what Samsung can do at this factory in Taylor, Texas, then of course Elon and Tesla will want as many as they can get their hands on. And remember, this is AI 6, not even AI 5, so this would likely be well into 2028. That's because we're not expecting AI 5 to be out into the wild, into production, until closer to the end of next year. In a blog post, Tesla said it's now done more than 500,000 solar installations worldwide. Here's the thing, back around 2019, that's when Elon said that the solar roof would do around 1,000 installations per week, and long term it would do 10 to 20,000 installations per week. And even if you take just 5,000 solar roofs per week at 50 working weeks in the year, that would be 250,000 solar roof installs alone per year. Then fast forward about 3 years after those announcements, and the solar roof was doing about 20 units per week. That according to Wood Mackenzie. And now we actually have no idea what Tesla Solar is doing with the solar roof because they don't report that line item anymore. So for me, until that line item comes back into Tesla's quarterly financials, then that tells me that business line is not ready to scale and is not ready to be a material contributor to Tesla's business. But importantly, for the future, Tesla is the only company in the world right now where you can buy a full ecosystem. You can get custom Tesla panels, Tesla's EV charger, Tesla's vehicle, and a Tesla Powerwall for battery backup. And as far as I can tell, no other company can say the same. Rohan Paul was saying how Google would spend $1.9 trillion on data centers and hardware over the next decade, to which Elon said rookie numbers, $10 trillion or you're not even trying. Elon reminded everybody Tesla patents are open source. We do patents to block the trolls, not because we need protection from competitors. Clay Travis said self-driving Tesla has replaced the iPhone for me as the most transformative tech of the 21st century. I think the self-driving Tesla is the most impressive tech creation of the 21st century. Ashok shared that and said it really is, and the upcoming tech will make it even more so. So I would love to double click on this upcoming tech. But you know where my mind goes, it's right to 14.3, the last big piece of the puzzle. AOC again said Elon's not a scientist, he's not an engineer, he's a billionaire con man with a lot of money. To which Elon corrected her saying trillionaire. And that is Elon being a trollionaire. Responding to Joe Tetmeyer, Elon said the first half of Cortex in Austin will be active next month. Again, that is the brain of Optimus. Rune said, hedonic adaptation is hitting. Agents are old news now. We need more acceleration, to which Elon said, so much acceleration is coming. Tesla driver person shared a great clip of Tesla's FSD in some pretty tough conditions. So you can extrapolate for yourself. If a driver was distracted for this 5 to 10 second period, what could have happened? And these are the stats that we don't have that we should. All of the accidents that have already been avoided by Tesla's FSD that will never get reported. Today, Figure put out a new video of its Figure 03 humanoid running on the Helix 2 neural net. And Figure is saying this demo was fully autonomous with the robot adapting to the environment in real time. And Helix 02 is combining walking, balance, and this manipulation without resets or any teleoperation. And Figure continues to tout this Helix 2 as a single neural net that can do all of these tasks like walking, grasping, or planning with one single neural net. And they're saying that Helix 2 can add new skills like cleaning up a living room on the same neural net that they demoed recently, which was cleaning in the kitchen. So no new algorithms are needed and no hardware adjustments were needed. And if this video is not sped up, which we have no indications it is, this appears to be moving quicker than the kitchen demo. And even Elon asked about this one. He said, was this autonomous or remotely operated? But the real question for in-home use is how generalized are these skills? It's one thing to do this in a closed environment at the Figure factory, where this robot has been practicing and training for months. If you were to put this 03 robot in a random home where it's never been before and give it verbal instructions like it's doing now, how would it handle that scenario? At this point, we still don't know, but what we do know is that we should be getting a Tesla V3 Optimus demo sometime here, hopefully in the next month or two. And I'm paying close attention to the hands, and here with the remote, you'll see that Figure has to drop it in a sense to transfer the remote into the palm, which on one hand, pun intended, is impressive in a sense, but it's also likely not reliable enough for more complex manipulation and handling of very important and or delicate objects. And Sandil Palani said, after 17 incredible years, my last chapter at Tesla has come to a close. He said, Tesla barely survived Christmas 2008. I started a few days later in our finance team under an ongoing Tesla death watch. I slept under my desk at least once, and I was not the only one. There are many companies with hardworking and talented employees, but few have the level of commitment and collaboration of the Tesla team. In retrospect, this should have been an obvious predictor of the successes that would follow. And to Elon, a heartfelt thank you for your endless love of humanity and for demonstrating the power of thinking from first principles at all times about all things. When abundance is achieved and money ceases to have meaning, these lessons will be the most valuable commodity in our economy. To the outside world who may not have experienced the above firsthand, remember that Tesla's mission is so ambitious and complex that any narrative about the company is naturally an oversimplification. Seek the truth about the company at all times and support it in any way that you can. There are few higher callings or better uses of your time. So beautifully said from Sandil, and Elon said thanks for an epic contribution over many years. Tesla stock closed the day at $398.68, up 0.49%, while the NDX was up 1.32%. The volume was 12% above the average. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.